All right, let's see, where is this? So today's topic is happiness in life, working abroad, and make good money. And you'll see how these come together in this video. So I'm going to tell you a little story about a friend of mine. I won't say her name, but I'll tell you the story of her life. She moved to Tokyo about 13 years ago. And when she got there, she was a counselor. And I actually liked her a lot. She was very friendly. She was married to a friend of mine, and we hung out a lot. And I thought she was really great. She was really a caring person, And she got to Tokyo, and she said, "I want to be a counselor." So, I didn't know much about being a counselor. I didn't have any really experience with that. So when she asked me, I didn't know what to say really. I didn't know where to start. It was like, counselor, okay. Everybody's Japanese here. She didn't speak Japanese. She had a certificate, but I don't know what it meant in Japan to people. So I wasn't quite sure what she could do, right? So I was thinking, I don't know what she can do, right? So she went out and she started looking around. And the next thing I know, she calls me. She's got a job, and she called it a gig. She had a gig, and the gig was counseling expat, so expatriate children. So she had a lot of brothers and sisters, and they had kids, and she had been around a lot of kids, right? And so she was really good with kids. And so what happened was, she had known somebody who went to the American school, and they had a child who was having a very, very difficult time living in Japan. They had a difficult time moving, and the cultural differences were a lot. And then the child was in high school. It was a difficult time for them, and they needed help. So they didn't know who to turn to. So she got this opportunity and started talking to this kid after school. And after a few months, there was a really good reaction, and they helped them to get over their cultural barriers and differences. And automatically the kid was happy in Japan. And in fact, years later, when the family was supposed to go home, they didn't even want to go home. The kid didn't even want to go home. He was so happy in Japan that they had really settled in. It really worked. Whatever she did, it really worked. I'm sure it was a mix of there's always two to tango, so I'm sure it wasn't just her. But either way, when the student's ready, the teacher appears, and in this case, the teacher appeared and it was my friend. And so she got paid for that. And through that one success, the parents were very grateful, and the dad was a president of a pretty big company, a financial company. So started introducing her to other families. So next thing you know, she's working all day. She's teaching, or she's kind of counseling expatriate kids. So they were having trouble adjusting cultural differences. None of it was academic. It was all psychological. And the kids were having trouble, and she was helping them. She was so busy. She could not, there was nobody like her in Tokyo. She had a lock on the market, and it was a very unusual market. It was a small market, but it was a very, very profitable market. And it was also a market that she would have never had back home. She would have never been able to do that back home. She wouldn't have had the access to that level of families. These were top level families, and they were so grateful for her help. So she worked. Here's what happened in the end. She worked 6 months a year. Okay, because the kids in Japan, they get about 6 months off actually. So whenever the kids were not in town, the expat kids would go home to Australia or New Zealand or the US or UK or whatever. When they went home, she would also go on vacation. So she worked 6 months a year. She was 6 months off, 6 months on. She got paid cash. She made about $85,000 a year. Very little was taxed. That's her business. Either way, that's the way she did it. And that basically put that money in her pocket, and she did so well. And I tell you, the friendships and the relationships that she made with those families actually helped her husband to get a job, and he got a good job through those connections. It was like, once you get in, you're in, and she had done really well. She had helped people, and they helped her, right? It's just what comes around goes around. So there's a lot of niches overseas that you would never imagine. I personally never imagined that. $85,000 a year cash, just talking to kids a few hours a night, 6 months a year, and having the whole day off. She had the whole day off. She had nothing to do when the kids were in school. So she worked 6 months a year. She was off most days. She wouldn't even start working until after school. I don't remember exactly what time, but maybe let's say 3 o'clock. So she worked 3 till say 7 o'clock, maybe 5 nights a week, maybe even less. And she did very well. And I'll tell you, she was so peaceful. You know, she spent half her time doing yoga or down in Thailand doing different events where she could relax and breathe and eat healthy food. And she was, you know, eating vegan food and everything. And I mean, her life was so fantastic doing yoga. And I think she was really living her dream. So not everybody's dream is to make a lot of money. Not everybody's dream is to start the next investment bank. Not everybody's dream is to start a restaurant. And not everybody's dream is to be a counselor. But there's a lot of things overseas, and there's niches, and they're profitable niches. And if you go in there and you go in with your expertise and you actually help people, expat communities are not big. You know, word travels very fast. You know, so if you rip people off, everybody finds out very quickly and they blog about you. And if you do a good job, it takes more time. People start talking about you. They start introducing you. And when people go home, they introduce you to the next family. And when their workmates move into town, they introduce you to the next family. It's an amazing community. The expat community is an amazing community to be part of. I'm very grateful to be part of it, whatever city I live in. So thanks for listening, and I hope this sparks some ideas for you about things that you could do where you could follow your heart and win-win, and you can make money, and you can be free, and you can be overseas and live wherever you want. So thanks for watching.